I'm gonna have a presentation about the dystopia genre, where I'm gonna use the Divergent and Hunger Games as examples to answer my two topic questions. This is the table of contents, and these are my two topic questions. Why is the dystopia genre so popular among today's youth? And will this affect the future society? Um, The Hunger Games is a movie based on the book Hunger Games, published in 2008, written by Susan Collins, and the film was released in 2012. The society in this film is characterized by totalitarian dictatorship under the influence of President Snow. Um, the movie is about a live TV show called The Death Games, where a boy and a girl from each of the 12 districts gets drafted, gets drafted into an arena, where they have to fight to the death, where only one survivor wins. Um, Katniss Everdeen, the main character, her sister gets selected as tribute for her district, but Katniss Everdeen volunteers to take her place, and the baker's son, Peeta Mellark, is the second tribute from her district. And Peeta and Katniss, they manage to trick the producers and therefore win the games together. Um, Divergent is a movie based on the book Divergent, published in 2011. The film was released in 2014. Um, the society in this movie is also characterized by totalitarian dictatorship. Um, Divergent is an exciting thriller where the action takes place in a future version of Chicago, um, where there are 5 distinct factions, and each of these factions think that one virtue is best. These 5 factions is amity, the kind; abnegation, the selfless; dauntless, the brave; candor, the honest; and erudite, the intelligent. Um, each year, the teens at the age of 16 has to choose which of the 5 factions they want to stay with for the rest of their lives. Um, and before this, they go through a test that tells them what faction they should be in. But for Beatrice Pryor, the main character, this choice gets rather difficult, because her the test her answer on the test is ambiguous, which means that she fits more than one faction. Um, that she is divergent, which is very rare. She has to keep this a secret to survive. She ends up being brave, or choosing dauntless, the brave, and her life is characterized by the fear of not passing the last test and becoming fashionless, or that her secret will be discovered so that she risks getting killed. Um, right. So before I can really talk about the topic questions, I have to go through some comparisons in relation to what youths like. Um, of course, comparisons of the film. Uh, from this, I can find what is so special about the dystopia genre and what makes it so popular among the youth. Um, Official statistics from Film and Movie underlines that this popularity, or underlines this popularity. Dystopia genre, or the dystopia genre, has been here for a while, kind of like a tradition, but it moves in waves. According to statistics, there has also been an increase in books in this genre. Um, um, so, comparison of the films, there are similarities that I will be taking. Many people can recognize themselves in Rebellion, Youths also often rebel against their parents or authorities because they have different opinions. For example, in The Hunger Games, Katniss rebels against the Capitol when she tricks them. Some youths can recognize themselves in the gloomy or sadness, as you can see in the Hunger Games. The districts present themselves in gray colors, gray environment, gray and worn out clothes, and there's little things happening, as well as the people have almost nothing and looks very tired. In Divergent, the contrasts are shown in the factions, for instance, between the intelligence and the selfless. The intelligence has nice big halls and a lot of lights, but while in the selfless faction there it looks more sad and gray colors and more worn out clothes. Um, in today's society, there are many contrasts, rich and poor, for example, and for example, those with more food than they need, and those who has to walk more than kilometers just to get water. Um, to fall in love is something the youth can recognize themselves in, and this is a very high factor in both of the movies as well. Um, both of the films also has, or the main characters in both of the films also has to make life-determining choices. This is something the youth can go through as well, because they have to choose school or they have to decide what to do in their life. Um, both of the movies are also very exciting. There is a lot of excitement here and there that can attract youth. Um, Group identity is something that youth can recognize themselves in as well. That you fit to your own group, and this you can see in, for example, Divergent, where Beatrice chooses a new faction, the Dauntless the Brave, that no one thought she would choose, because she thought that she fit in there. You have to find your place as well, which I just told about, kind of where Beatrice chose her place. But in both of the movies, Beatrice and Katniss starts out as very shy, but they find out later that they're leader types, both of them. Um, to do the right thing, you see in both movies. For example, Katniss has to or she buries the dead girl, which is doing the right thing, being a hero, something that can be like a role model for the youth. Um, they have to keep secrets in both of the movies. For example, Beatrice has to hide that she's a divergent, something that the youth also can recognize themselves in. You can also see a red line in both of the movies. You can see that they both have a girl as a main character. They start as underdogs and have to fight authorities and become heroes at the end. Youth, they love this kind of red line. Both of the movies are gender neutral. Both there are both women and men at the top and as heroes, and this is something that youth wish for the future. The main characters are youths, which just amplifies the recognition factor for the youths. Um, the youth also loves entertainment. They love entertainment. They love action. They love big feelings and so on, which is a very high factor to why they watch the dystopia genre. The sound and music, or sound effects and music, is something that makes you live yourself more into the movie, and makes it better to watch. The scene changes are also very quick, which can which is something that the youth likes, because you can see that the youth nowadays likes that things go fast. Yeah. First of all, my conclusion is twofolded, because I have two questions, of course. Where the first one is, why is the dystopia genre so popular among today's youth? And as you can see, I have already found many factors that in both films which the youth can recognize themselves in, and actually to a large extent they will identify themselves in what the film characters experience, which the youth also experience every day. In addition, the films contains a real nice story, The Red Line, and so on. There's a lot of music and effects, which makes it more entertaining and more popular, which the youth, or more entertaining, which the youth love. Will this affect the future society? It's kind of hard to answer, but I think that the youth who sees these kinds of films will bring many of the recognizable factors with them in their life and future. The question is to what limit the youth let this characterize their life in their adulthood. As I have said earlier, the dystopia genre, it has been here for a very long time, and it comes and goes in waves, so what I think is that the genre will come and go, also in the future, and not really affect the future society that much. I think that this genre is rather a use for covering the need for excitement and drama and feelings and so on. These are my sources.